and just outline the agenda that we have today. So we've got about 30 minutes set aside this afternoon. Just do a few introductions before we kick off. Then I'll give you a little bit of an overview of us. I think most of you probably know us as a sort of lead dynamics partner, but I'll explain the nature of what we're going to do this afternoon, and then we're into demonstration. So there's only going to be a few slides, a couple of minutes worth of setting the scene, and then we're into a demonstration of the actual solution. So firstly, if I could just introduce myself, my name's Nigel Hamlin and I work in the Information Management and Business Intelligence team within EBEX, and I'll be joined this afternoon by my colleague Jillian who actually works for Atlas. So Julian's going to fortunately do most of the work this afternoon. He's going to cover the demonstration, and so Jillian will be picking up shortly after my intros. Just a little note, you'll probably see in the panel that you can ask some questions. So because we can't hear you, if you can type in any questions you've got as we're going through, then what we'll do is we'll have a little Q&A session at the end where we'll pick up those questions and we'll also give you the answers as appropriate. One thing Julian's also going to pick up is we actually have an offer on at the moment with Atlas, and that offer is commercial and also content in terms of templates. But Jillian will be picking up on that shortly, and we can sort of look at that towards the end of the session. So just very briefly, just to explain to you guys a little bit more about the relevance of this component of EBEX. So you know us as a lead Dynamics partner, and we've been Dynamics Partner of the Year for 4 of the last 5 years, including International Partner of the Year. What we're looking at here is the information management and business intelligence part of EBEX, which has been growing considerably over the years. So Atlas is one of the solutions that fits into business intelligence and reporting, and so that's something we're going to focus on this afternoon. So it's a really focused part of our organisation, and we're working very closely with Microsoft as well, and we're sort of part of the inner sanctum with them too. So what I want to do now is to hand over to Jillian, who's going to talk us through just the introduction to what he's going to cover this afternoon, and then we're going to get into the actual demonstration. So Jillian, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's all good. Yeah, good stuff.
Oh, marvelous. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nigel, and thank you everybody for your time this afternoon. I'll kind of get straight into what we're doing because it's a 30-minute slot, and I think and hope we can cover everything within that 30 minutes. The aim is really just to try and give you an idea what Atlas can do, but importantly how it can help you enhance your experience of AX. We will today be covering live reporting from your AX. We'll also be covering uploading, that's safely and securely. We'll be looking at the blended report, so introducing data from other databases and cubes into your AX reports. We've got a new dashboard component, so I know some of you are existing users, so this should be something quite new and innovative for you. We'll also demonstrate that we can integrate fully with all your vertical tables and custom fields, and then at the end we'll just quickly outline the promotion that Nigel was talking about. Next slide, please, Nigel. Thank you. I'm going to keep the PowerPoint bit quite succinct because the key thing with Atlas is the hands-on experience and the hands-on demo. I think the main point with this slide is the title at the top, which is Atlas is a single solution for all end-user reporting and uploading. So the key thing there is it's a single solution. There is so much you can do with your AX just by using Atlas. The second component there is this end user. So you do not require any coding or programming skills to do anything with Atlas. And in honesty, if you're a coder or programmer looking at this demonstration, Atlas isn't really the product for you because we do away with the requirement for coding. And the last component is the reporting and uploading. So the two-way integration, which we'll look at during the hands-on demo. So Nigel, could you move on to the next slide, please? Thank you. I'll just spend a minute on this slide because this kind of illustrates why and where Atlas is a success and why it's so useful and beneficial. So the key points are it's familiar. So it allows you, just by using your Office Excel client, to be able to blend your data from AX and to integrate with your AX. So Excel Office almost becomes your AX client. It's convenient. So your workers, your colleagues are used to working from within the Office system. So they're not really having to learn a new skill set. It's accurate. Atlas reports on live data from the AX tables. So there's no need to wait for a cube to refresh or a warehouse to be updated overnight. As soon as data has been posted and inputted, Atlas can report it. And lastly, and this is really key from the IT administration perspective, it is the security and safety. So we use the AX Business Connector. What that means is that all the security you've got set up in AX and all the data validations, they are inherited by Atlas. So Atlas is not a loophole to the database. Atlas is as secure as your AX. Next slide, please, Nigel. Just to give you an idea of Atlas in numbers, well, it's been around for most of the AX life. So it started in 2001 as a reporting tool. We're now on about 20% of the world's AX. We've got over 58,000 users, so 54,000 users in over 58 countries. But more recently, over the last 12 months, as AX 2012 is going live more regularly, we have seen an uptake of 25%. In other words, 25% of last year's AX is using and incorporating Atlas. So, Nigel, can you make me the presenter, and then I can actually show a couple of examples of how Atlas works. And can I just check you can see my screen? It's a supplier exposure report.
Yes, that's good, Jillian. Screen looks good.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I've got 2 or 3 pre-built Excel spreadsheets which will show you how Atlas can work for you. And then it's not all magic. We will show you the simple techniques behind the templates so that you can feel confident developing these reports and seeing how they work yourselves. So in this case, we have a report which is showing our suppliers or vendors and which is reporting across our multiple AX companies. At the moment, to drive this report, all I need to do is to change the AX company. I can use an Atlas lookup to look at our companies, but actually what I'm going to do is to interrogate all of our companies. So the cross-company reporting and integration is a key feature. And fundamentally, as soon as I change my filter, I have live data within Excel. And this can be made very simply, easily available to an end user. And that end user doesn't really need to know too much about AX themselves. All they need to know is who are their vendors, their suppliers, and their various companies. But we've actually set this up. So if I move on to another example, because we've actually just gone through a process of rebuilding our reports for AX 2012 R3. Like so. And a lot of our templates have all got end user functionality such as graphs and charts, all of which have been created because fundamentally this is part of the deliverable with Atlas. So to give you an idea of how this report works, all I need to do as the CFO, as the financial controller, wanting to view my balance sheet for the current year and the previous year, is just update my report by using Excel. I can do so first of all by changing the date. We can see how Atlas refreshes automatically. I can also update the report by changing the AX company. And again, Atlas gives me the option and the ability to interrogate all of my AX companies. We can actually select multiple companies. and Atlas will concatenate and add that data together. And I hope it's coming across that as an end user, I haven't even needed to touch Atlas in the ribbon bar. All I'm doing is opening an Excel spreadsheet and refreshing it. Of course, this does need to be built, but we can see that most of what's in this spreadsheet, including the graphs and the charts, is all just my normal Excel knowledge. So if the question is how easy or how difficult is it to learn Atlas, well, fundamentally, it's driven by your knowledge of Office and Excel. If you're a strong Excel user, there is so much you can do. But the second part of that is if you're a strong Excel user, you can create spreadsheets like this together with the assistance of EBEX and then send them and deploy them out to your other users who will just be standard runtime users who can just refresh these reports. So to give you an idea, when we built this template, the actual Atlas data or AX data only takes 5 to 10 minutes to build as a query. The rest of the report, all the formatting, all the ratios, all the charts, that's all based on my use of Excel. So I think it took us about 2.5 to 3 hours to create this. But fundamentally, the AX data was negligible in terms of the time. It was a 10-minute job. So to give you an idea how Atlas works, I'm going to open from fresh an Excel spreadsheet. I'm just going to type in an Excel filter. Like so. And now for the first time, because I'm a designer, so quite importantly with Atlas, we have a designer license which enables the end user to build a report or to create an upload template, and we have a runtime or standard license. I'll show you how they both work. As a designer, I'm given access to the Atlas interface from which I can start to build a report. So I'm going to build a sales report, and it's going to summarize my data. Having selected the report type, I then select AX, and I now choose the table from which I'm going to report. So to get my sales data, assuming I type in correctly, I just scroll down to the customer invoice journal. I select, and then I build up my report by selecting and identifying the output fields. So what do I want myself and my end users to see? Well, I'd like to see the customer account, and I'd like to see the invoice or the sales amount. I'd also like to see the customer name. The name is not located in the customer invoice journal table. What Atlas allows me to do is just to link and to join to other tables within AX, so it recognizes relationships within AX. So a key point, Atlas reads the tables and the table structure and the table relations in AX. So if there's links and joins, Atlas will recognize them. Now in AX 2012, the name in the customers table is a party ID. But if we note, Atlas prompts me that there's another link that takes me to the global address book. So here, I can add the name. The name now appears in the output. I'm just going to rename the invoice amount as sales. I'm just going to change the order by putting the name second in the list. I click Next. I would like this report to be driven to be used by my Excel user who just simply needs to change the AX company. So my filter is going to be driven by the AX company. And what we're doing with the filter is we're just linking it into the Excel cell. So again, for those 1 billion happy Excel users, this is no great shakes. This is fairly standard knowledge of Excel. So my report is driven by whatever is in cell D4. If I now click Insert, I have a report. It's in Excel, so I can do with it as I normally would within Excel. So if I want to change the formatting, tidy up the formatting, I can do so. If I want to change the columns or the way they look, I can do so. And again, because this is driven by an Excel filter, as soon as I change this filter, Atlas refreshes automatically, real time, and maintains my formatting. And as you saw from the earlier examples, we can easily add a lookup to report from all of your AX companies. But let me now show you something a little bit more advanced, because this is part of the new version of Atlas, because we now have the ability to rebuild our report with additional data. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge data, and my Atlas client is connected not just to AX 2012, but also to my AX 2009, and also to my AX cubes. And this means, therefore, that we have a connection and can create blended reports. So I'm going to do this from a cube. It could equally be from a legacy database. It can also be from CRM. So if I select my sales cube, I just rebuild a new report set of definitions. So I select the customer invoice lines table. I'm now going to select my link between the two databases, which is going to be the customer invoice account. And the point is, this is now the linking ID between the sales cube and the AX data. So what Atlas does is it prompts me to say why and where the link is. So I've now made the link. I can now select the other fields for output for reporting. So the other thing I'd like to see, this is going to show my sales, which it already does, but it's also going to show my cost of goods, which is held in my cube, and my margin, which is held in my cube. Now that I've got this output, I'm going to remove the customer, because we've already got this reported, and I want to keep this report as friendly as possible for my end users. Similarly, I'm just going to rename these values, fields, COGS for my cost of goods, and margin for my total margin. So when I now select next, I now just need to complete my filter, which is going to be based on my AX company. Again, I just reset the definition, click merge, and Atlas has now refreshed the report so I can see my cost of goods and my margin. So again, I just used my Excel skills and my knowledge to tidy this report up. I refresh the report based on a new AX company, and Atlas automatically now refreshes this blended report with data from my cube and also my AX 2012. And just to show, for those of you who are existing users, another nice feature which has been introduced, well, if I go back to my data, we have calculation columns which can be added and can allow us, well, firstly to bring in data from other parts of the database using Atlas, but also to perform various calculations on, such as calculation expression, a managed column to bring in data, ranking, running balances, and what I'm going to do here is to introduce a percentage of my margin. So as I click on percentage, Atlas shows me the numerical values in my report. So it's already prompting me, it's taking a lot of the human error out of what I'm trying to do, or what I might try to do. I select the margins, I click create and update, I introduce my formatting, refresh my report, and we've now got a calculation, so the percentage of the margin. So I can see that my default retail customer is a big spender with me. So I need to make sure I get a big Christmas card this year, a big hamper. But fundamentally, what this is doing is it's giving me that analytical data. So developing this further, again into something which is new with the current version of Atlas, one thing I can do is if I open up my data, I can save these definitions so that they can be redeployed. So historically or typically we've always worked within Office and Excel. We've now got a new component which is a dashboard or desktop component. So what I'm going to do is just save these definitions. I'm going to open my dashboard, create a new presentation, open a new page, and I've got some snippets which I've already created, but here you can see the snippet I've just added. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this to a dashboard to improve my ease of visibility. So this had been prepared earlier, which is just a simple list report of my AX companies. And now what I'm going to do is to bring in my EBEX definitions. Okay, sorry, double click, sorry. I need to reset my filters because at the moment, because I created this in Excel, I was pointing to an Excel cell D4. Now what I need to do is just reference the existing report which I have. So I select, and I now insert. So this has now created a new report within the dashboard. And as I change my selection of the legal entity, so let me go to Russia, we can see that this report refreshes automatically. So it's driven by the existing legal entities report in the dashboard. But the whole point of a dashboard is the ability to make it visual. So with Atlas, we have a style inspector where I can convert this report into a pie chart, line chart, in this case into a bar chart. So as I select bar chart, I'm given the option to select my X and my Y-axis. I now insert, and this now creates a visual display. To the extent that when I now change my filter, so we can see with Contoso Japan, we've got 4 customers, we can see that their data has now been transposed across to a graph. And all we're doing is just using that same knowledge we had within Excel. So based on this, pretty quickly, we can develop our own very concise dashboard. So here we have a sales dashboard for which each component has been created in exactly the same way as we have done in the last 4 or 5 minutes. So to give you an idea, if I now select Contoso USA, we can see there's underlying sheets. So if I now click on my entity, this is now looking specifically at USA, looking at my customer groups. As I select a new customer group, the list of customers refreshes automatically. So it's all driven from within the same document. As I select a customer, it then filters down to the next dashboard page where I can see their transaction history and the items they've purchased. So very quickly I can create something which is visual. And again, typically within an organization, this is designed but then deployed to everybody else who is a standard user. So certainly for those of you who are existing users, this is something new. This is now very definite in the present. For those of you who are looking at Atlas, hopefully you can see how this gives you a solution to viewing your data, certainly on an operational basis, and for creating ad hoc reports. Just very quickly, the other side of Atlas that we want to look at is the uploading of data. I'm just going to use one example because I think we've covered how Atlas works and the way that Atlas works within the tables and within the fields. So here we have an Excel spreadsheet. It's to upload a general ledger journal. In principle, this could be any journal. It could be a new budget. It could be a sales order, purchase order, fixed asset acquisition, anything with headers and lines. And what we've done is we've just created the layout so that our end user can just include, even by using a lookup, the data into Excel. Alternatively, they can copy and paste. They can import from the CSV. Just getting the data into Excel makes it so much easier for a standard end user. You will note we also integrate fully with the dimension framework in AX 2012. So once we've got this data into Excel, all I need to do is to select Upload and then run the upload. Atlas does three things. Firstly, it inserts the lines, in this case 6 journal lines and 1 header line, making a total of 7. It validates our data, and Atlas has also, if you've noticed, returned the next journal number in sequence to us in Excel, so it's presenting the next journal to us. So if I now do a slightly different example, and I'll just delete this journal number so you can see it refresh this time. So this is the second upload. On this occasion we have not 6 lines, but 12 lines. So we've actually added more lines, we've got more data. The point is that Atlas is going to dynamically upload that data. So as an end user, when I click Run, and please just note how the journal number will automatically report into Excel, we've now got 13 lines representing 12 journal lines and 1 header line. And because we've stated this is one of the key aspects of Atlas, certainly a pillar of Atlas in terms of the IT administration, let me just show you what happens when human error does creep in. So if I type in a main account in Excel which does not exist, and I try to perform the upload, in other words, we're testing the validation, sorry, let me give that the number 3, then as I select Upload, again, please note the journal number, or the journal number cell. Well, there is no journal number because the upload has failed. 0 lines have been inserted, and Atlas tells me where the errors lie. And several things here, but the real neat point is the fact that Atlas has effectively pre-validated the data. So if you didn't have 12 lines, but 12,000 lines, you would not be faced with a partial upload and then having to sort the good from the bad. In this case, Atlas tells us what the error is. We have no journal upload. We can then just use Excel and the Excel functionality to find and replace those values. So again, imagine we didn't have 2 errors, but we had 200 or 2,000. Atlas, together with Excel, has allowed us to solve that almost immediately, and actually much quicker than using any other tool or using AX. So the ability to use or to solve a problem with Excel is really quite compelling. So now I've got my correct ledger or main account in AX. All I now do is perform the upload again. And on this occasion we have successfully uploaded those lines. the upload has been completed, and we've got our journal number. So just to identify that this has uploaded, here we can see the 3 uploads. This is the last of the 3, ready to be posted. Let me just observe and open the lines. Here we can see the 12 lines, together with the account structure and dimension structure. You will also note we've handled the voucher sequence, but depending on how your system is set up, this can be changed so that it's 1 voucher per line, or in this case 1 voucher in accordance with the balance, or 1 voucher for each journal. You can control, so it's flexibility with Atlas, and again that's flexibility without any coding. And just so I've touched on the issue or the question, if I just look at the definitions, so one of the points we mentioned earlier was the fact that Atlas integrates with all of your AX tables. We read the table structure within AX. That also means we read all the fields. So before this session, my technical team added a custom field to the journal transactions field. So if I scroll down, you can see that we can see all the fields in this table. And here we can see the custom field which has been added. So again, one of the key points about the flexibility is whatever you've got in AX, we will read and we will allow you to integrate with. One last example, if I've just got 2 minutes, Nigel, is to show you how we can combine the reporting and the uploading. Because in isolation, they're really powerful. But you put the 2 together and it becomes extremely powerful and compelling. This is quite a nice example because it's a report showing my wage lines. You can see we're reporting across multiple companies. So if I now filter based on one of these companies, so I can see I've got quite a few records for USRT. Each of these wage lines is in AX. Now, if I can imagine that for USRT, I'm applying my annual salary increase, Atlas is going to allow us to insert a new salary uplift. Excel then calculates the new rate, and Atlas is going to allow us to upload those new wage lines. So if I put today's approval, and now perform the upload, well, Atlas very simply uploads the data. In slightly functional terms, what it does is it creates a new wage line and closes off the existing wage line with today's date, or whichever date I wish to put in. So if we take one of these examples, let's look at, well, suitably named Jillian. So there's Julian Eiler. If I select to look at his wage line, here we can see the existing wage lines in the system, including the test I did earlier today, but we can also now see the new wage line which has been created with today's date. We can see the approval reference and we can see the new annual amount. So anytime you're trying to get data out, change it and upload it, so credit limits, for example, budgets into forecasts, Atlas can combine that functionality and make it easily available to your end users. So I think in just about 30 minutes I've covered most of the main points of Atlas. The last thing just to quickly highlight before I hand back to Nigel and we have any questions, and Nigel and the EBEX team will be following up with a solution, because what we've done together with EBEX is we've created a series of customized templates specifically targeted at some of the AX pains. And for each template, we've also, part of the package, we've included a video showing you how Atlas works. So if I take one of the examples, such as uploading a pricing agreement, and hope my internet connection is still strong enough.
This workbook allows us to
This is going to give you an idea of the 1.5 minute videos. Oh, sorry, this is the example I've just shown you. So this is the example I meant to show you.
This series of templates is going to allow us project and contract.
Each of these videos is 1 to 1.5 minutes, so it's easy and quick to consume.
One to create the project contract ID, and a second to create the funding rules. Firstly, we'll start by adding my AX company, as Atlas allows us to upload to all our AX companies. By selecting the company cell, Atlas presents a lookup to allow us to select the appropriate company in our AX. Secondly, we'll now create a project contract ID. We've already created one contract, so we'll now add a second manually. Atlas includes a helpful lookup for our customer funding source and for our currency. We now have our project in the project contract sheet. If we now look at the funding rules, we can see that the contract ID and rules have now been added. Please note that the invoicing name is currently blank, and this will be updated by Atlas automatically during this batch process. To proceed with the upload, we select Batch Task and Run. This runs a series of uploads and refresh rec IDs, including the refresh on the invoicing name. This is now successfully uploaded, so we can view this newly created contract project within AX. Here we can see that McCartney and Lennon have both been uploaded and now appear in our AX. We can now move on to the next step, where we can create an active project with ID.
So the second step gets really exciting, because that's where we introduce Yoko and Linda to Lennon and McCartney. But I think or hope that the key thing that's come across today is just the ease of use as an end user and the ability to create your own reports, your own templates, and to change and manipulate them based on what you need. So if you have existing management account reports, if you have a specific way of loading data, a form, you can just take those existing Excel spreadsheets and forms and just integrate Atlas to them. So that pretty much finishes the formal part of the demonstration. So I'll hand over to Nigel. But please, if you have any questions, please do ask.
I've got a few. Yeah, excellent. Thanks a lot for a very clear and concise presentation and highlighting the key benefits of the Atlas solution. So that was excellent. So thank you very much. We've got a few questions and then a couple of bits and pieces for myself to tidy up on. First question is Atlas a separate licensed component to AX? You can answer that, or I can, but I'll pass the questions on.
Yes, it is. It's a separate license. It's also a separate component. In other words, it sits to the side of AX. It does not sit on the AX footprint.
So just to expand on that, as Julian has alluded to during his demonstration, we have a offer on the table at present, which is a commercial offer in terms of licensing plus content and templates, and Julian showed an example of that. So we'll be sending that out to you early next week. You can also talk to your account managers, it would be Ted, Paris or Mike or myself, if you have any questions on that. But we'll be following up on that offer early next week. I have another question, and it is, if uploading lines for a purchase order, will the text box recognise sentence breaks? As currently in AX, this is a problem. Does that make sense to you, Jillian, the question?
Will the text box recognise
sentence breaks?
Does that mean full stop and enter a new line?
Yeah, the kind of the character function. So there was the sort of the space when copied and pasted in AX. It doesn't recognise the sort of space character. Sorry,
my answer is yes. I mean, I'd just like to double check it and test ourselves.
Okay.
If you can if you can find out where specifically, so which form or which table this is in AX, we can very quickly replicate it and get the answer to you based on where this end user is having an issue. It's not something we've ever encountered as being an issue before. So my answer is yes. I mean, we work with purchase orders and sale orders almost on a daily basis.
So we can clarify that, but hopefully it's something that isn't an issue within Atlas, so we can pick that up, no problem at all. Okay, so we have another question. Is the ability to blend data sources available within the 2012 program only? This particular customer has got AX 2009.
No, if you are you still on my screen?
We can still see your screen, yes.
Yep. So if I just select and open my definitions, you can see that I'm integrated with both 2009 and 2012, and admittedly these are OLAP AX 2012 cubes, but I could be integrated with any cube.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, looks like that's a yes then. So we can get data from 2009 and from 2012, which is good.
Definitely, and actually, just to and I know you've got quite a few projects at the moment where you're migrating data or comparing data between two systems. You can actually use Atlas to reconcile the data. In other words, if you wanted to view total quantity of items sold in your AX 2009 and in your new AX 2012, as you're in the middle of a migration, you can use Atlas very easily and quickly to produce a reconciliation statement.
Brilliant. That's great, Julian. Thanks for that. So I think we're kind of coming towards the end of the questions. If anyone's got any more, then just fire up while we're closing up. But if you have any burning questions that come after the session, then please contact us and we can address any that you think of later. A couple of things. Some people have joined late. It may be that they're having problems accessing the session or got delayed. So this session today is being recorded. So once again, we'll send out a link to the recording later for you that missed some of the session, or if you want to share this with your colleagues who couldn't attend. So that will be sent out next week. And just to reiterate again, the offer will also be we'll be sending out some details on that early part of next week, so you can see a bit more detail. I think the little snippet videos will be quite useful, so you don't have to sort of sit there for 10-15 minutes. You can sort of click on these videos and they'll last for sort of about, is it 60-90 seconds, Jillian? So that's
yes. I don't think any of the videos is longer than 2 minutes.
Excellent. So that will sort of grab your attention, guys. So hopefully, it'll clarify what the template offer is too. But by all means, follow up with your account managers. Follow up myself, Nigel Hamlin. That's nhamlin@ebex.com for any clarification. But we'll send all this out to you next week. Okay, we have another question coming through. So the question is: if I hold an Excel license for Atlas 5, can I upgrade to Atlas 6 for free?
Assuming you have an active enhancement contract, the answer is a very categoric yes.
Okay, that's good. So we can pick on that. That's pretty good. So it sounds like if you got a sort of the maintenance subscription, then it can be achieved, no problem at all, which is good. So, if there are no more questions, then I'd just like to thank you all for your time this afternoon. We've overrun a little bit. We've gone beyond our 30 minutes allowance, but hopefully the session has been informative. We will follow up next week on the